Meet the thrusting knife. A brief history. Initially, a knife with a similar design was used by ancient humans for domestic purposes. More specifically, for cutting up animal carcasses. Later, the peoples of the north, or more precisely the Eskimos, began to use a knife with the same purpose. With a T-shaped handle, but with an unchanged blade, called an ulu. Fact: during the existence of Russian Alaska, the Russians called the same knife a pekelka. Next, we move away from the utility knife towards a combat knife with a similar design, called a katar, also known as a jamathar. This is an Indian dagger with an H-shaped handle, which was considered a status weapon of the Indian elite. But let's return to Alaska, where, in the second half of the 19th century, the blade of the ulu knife underwent changes, acquiring its modern form. From Alaska, the stabbing knife began to spread throughout the United States. It became very popular in the Southwest, New Orleans, Louisiana. There, it became so widespread that the authorities banned the sale of this knife within the city limits. Everyone carried it. Gangsters hid it in their boots. Gentlemen hid it in their jacket pockets. Women hid it in their handbags. During the gold rush, the jabbing knife was highly valued by prospectors. The switchblade knife was often used in saloon fights, especially where weapons were prohibited. The compact size of this knife was ideal for concealed carry. Walk into a saloon, have a glass of whiskey, complain about life to your silent neighbor at the bar, then play poker with that group over there and slash the clumsy card sharp with a javelin knife hidden in advance. Business as usual. Oh yes, spending a long time explaining to the police that this knife isn't yours and that someone planted it in your pocket, a very common occurrence. That's why the dagger was often called the saloon knife. Fact: the shape and size of the blade could vary from state to state. For example, the city of San Francisco, California. The residents of this city carried daggers with longer and narrower blades. 5. The stabbing knife came to Europe from the pockets of American sailors who moored their ships in the ports of northern Germany. The Germans appreciated the merits of this weapon, nicknamed it the fist dagger, and mastered its production. It was carried by merchants and travelers. Fact: in many countries where brass knuckles are banned, stabbing knives can be freely purchased and even carried. This is despite the fact that stabbing knives are more dangerous than brass knuckles. Furthermore, from smoky saloons, stabbing knives found their way into the trenches of World War I, which, as we know, was famous not only for its tanks, gas attacks, and Hiram Maxim's remarkable invention, but also for its brutal hand-to-hand combat in trenches and dugouts, where rifles with bayonets fixed were ineffective due to the limited space. The governments of the countries involved in the fighting quickly realized the seriousness of the situation and began producing trench knives of various types and designs. But the British went further than anyone else, designing and launching the production of a trench bayonet knife, albeit in small quantities. Let's take a look. After the end of World War I, and with the spread of compact and inexpensive firearms, the popularity of the bayonet knife declined. Interest in it was revived in the 1980s. This was the case in law enforcement agencies, where the knife could perform various tasks, even as a weapon of last resort. The same was true in the civilian market. Sharpen a pencil, cut paper, open a package, but just like 100 years ago, this knife can save its owner's life.